Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Afif Ildiansyah. I am the representative from our group. Today, our group wants to represent our material about adjective clause. First, we want to introduce you all of our members. You can see it on the list here. There were me, Muhammad Afif Ildiansyah, Hidayatullah, Nur aldillah chumairoh, and Septiani Kusuma Ningrum. That's all for the members. Now, before we start into the core of the material, I want to give a quick general review about adjective clause. So, here is, okay, adjective clause. Adjective clause is a clauses that the whole clause together works like an adjective. It is including subject, verb, and object. It is mean that it is giving you some information about a noun somewhere in the sentence. To make it more clear, let's just jump into the example. First, I have a clause here, independent clause. The man is a doctor. This is an incomplete sentence. Why? It is actually complete, but in terms of meaning, it is not complete at all. Why? Because the man is the problem. We don't know which man it is. There's a lot of men out there. So, to give the specific information about this man, we add an identifying adjective clauses. It is, the man is living next door. Okay, we put a connector and we put the identifying adjective clause. The man who lives next door is a doctor. Now we know the man specifically which man. That is the man who lives next door. That is, next type is also an independent clause. I give you an example. Dr. Smith, who lives near the station, is a dentist. It is basically same as the first type. This is already have an identifying adjective clause in it. But the difference is we can take this out, this identifying adjective clause out. Why? I will explain to you why. Dr. Smith is this the subject. It is already a specific. There's not like a lot of Dr. Smith out there. So if we put this identifying adjective clause out, it will still be a complete clause in terms of grammar and in terms of meaning. So that's the difference between the type 1 and the second type. Okay, that's all for the quick general review. Let's go into the main material. Our material, the adjective clause, is consists of 4 submaterials, with each of those will be explained by my friends. First, we have RPS or relative pronoun as subject. Second, we have relative pronoun as object or RPO. The third, we have relative pronoun as possessive or RPP. And the last, we have relative adverb or RA. Okay, let's go into the first submaterials.
Hello everyone, I'm Septiani Ningrum and I will explain to you 3 types of relative pronoun as subject. The first is who, the second is which, and the third is that. Okay, I will explain it step by step. The first is who is used to describe person or human. Okay, I have 2 sentences. The first sentence is main clause and the other is subclause, and we can combine main clause and subclause so we can get the perfect sentence. The perfect sentence is, the man who wears blue hat is clever. A man is non-praise who wears blue hat as adjective clause is as verb, clever as adjective. Okay, next. The second is which is used to describe non-person or things. Okay, I have 2 sentences. The first is main clause and the second is subclause, and we can combine like the first type of relative pronoun as subject is who. Okay, we can combine subclause and main clause so we can get the perfect sentence. I have one example. The cat, which is very old, takes a nap. The cat as noun phrase, which is very old, as adjective clause of the noun phrase. takes as verb, a nap as object. Okay, the last. That is used to describe a person and things. Okay, I have one example. Only beautiful lady that is permit to enter. Okay, I think it is enough and I hope you understand. And the next section will be explained by my other friends. Check it out.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Hidayatullah and now I'm going to share with you about the relative pronouns as object. Pronoun used to connect to sentence and describe a noun. Noun here can be people, things, animals, and so on. If RPS relative pronoun as subject leads to the subject, then RPO refers to the subject. Of course, also the conjunction. Conjunction describe or connect the object itself. Now I want to show you what are the conjunction of relative pronoun as object. That is whom for person, which for non-person, and that flexible for both. If noun refers to person, then we use whom, and if noun refers to non-person, then we use which. For example, my mother sees a man. Nita loves him. Man as object, him also object. Man refers to person, so we use whom for conjunction. Like this, my mother sees a man whom Fanny loves, but where him? So there cannot be two objects in one sentence. In this sentence, whom as first object that replaces man, and second object is him, so can be two objects in one sentence. What about which? For example, my mother sees a cat. Nita loves it. Cat as object, it also as object. Cat refers to non-person, so we use which for conjunction. So like this, my mother sees a cat which Nita loves. And the last, that, it's flexible for both. Example, my mother sees a man that Nita loves. Also, my mother sees a cat that Nita loves. In the next discussion will be discussed by my friend. Thank you and see you next time.
I will explain about the relative pronoun as possessive. What is a relative possessive? Relative possessive is a type of adjective clause that often appears and serves to replace possessive, as my, your, their, our, his, her, its. The conjunction is whose for person and of which for non-person. When using whose, the formula is whose plus noun plus verb, or whose plus noun plus subject plus verb. When using of which, the formula is noun plus of which plus verb, or noun plus of which plus subject plus verb. Remember, of which are separated by commas. Let's look at the following example. My neighbor will report to the police. His bicycle was lost. If using whose will be my neighbor whose bicycle was lost will report to the police. In the example, whose word replaces his which is possessive. So, because his is basically an adjective, he must take to the noun be whose bicycle and was as a verb. So using the formula whose plus noun plus verb. The second example, my dad bought a car. Its shape is like a dog. If using of which will be My dad bought a car, the shape of which is like a duck. If in the example of which replace is which is possessive, and before of which there must be a noun, so that is becomes the shape of which and is as a verb. This example use the formula noun plus of which plus verb. We can write my dad bought a car, the shape of which is like a duck, without using commas, but must use commas after object on independent clause. Okay, for relative adverb will be explained by Muhammad Afif.
Okay, the last submaterial is relative adverb that will explain by me. Relative adverb has three main connectors, that is when, where, and why. I will be explained to you one by one. The first is when. When is a relative adverb that describes the adverb of time. It is so the relative adverb is identifying the adverb of time. For to make it more clear, okay, I will give you some examples. First is the night when I stayed at home alone is a nightmare. We know here the adverb of time is the night, and the identifying adjective clause is when I stayed at home alone. So we know that the night in specific is when I stayed at home alone. Why it is called an adjective clause? Because it is the night is not a complete sentence. I mean, it is not a complete in terms of meaning. If we put the identifying adjective clause out, we cannot know which is the night, which night it is. Yeah. So that is for the first example. I will give you the second example to make it more clear. Okay, the day when I met with Bill Gates is unforgettable. Adverb of time here is the day, and the identifying adjective clause here is when I met with Bill Gates. Okay, it is same case as before. It is an adjective clause. You cannot take out the identifying adjective clause because the day is not specific. Okay, that's for when. Next is where. It is basically same as before, but the differences is these connectors describe the adverb of place. To make it clear, take a look at these examples. The shop where I lost my pocket is closed by the government. The adverb of place is the shop. The identifying adjective clause is where I lost my pocket, and we use the connector where here because it is adverb of place. Okay, that is simple as before. The second example we have the restaurant where I got discount is always crowded. Again, the adverb of place is the restaurant and the identifying adjective clause is where I got discount. We use the connector where because it is the adverb of time to make it more specific which restaurant it is. Okay, last but not least is why. This connector is a little bit different from before because it is describing a reason. And it is the most simplest connector because you can only simply put this connector between two clauses. To make it clear, let's take a look at these examples. I don't know the reason. He didn't come last night. These two clauses can simply connect it by adding connector why because it is describing a reason. Okay, this is the connected clauses. I don't know the reason why he didn't come last night. Okay, before we close our presentations today, I'd like to give you the conclusions of our material. So the adjective clause is mainly divided into two types, which the first type is when you cannot take out the identifying adjective clause out because it will become an incomplete in terms of meaning. And the second type is when you can take out the identifying adjective clause out because it will still become a complete in terms of meaning. And then it will divide it into some connectors, which is who, whom, whose, which, that, when, where, and why. Each of these connectors has its own usage. Okay, I think that's all for the presentation about adjective clause for today. Hope you all can understand the material given by us. If you have any questions or suggestions regarding to our presentation today, please write down in the comment section below. If there were any mistakes, please forgive us. And thank you for the attentions. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.